Okay, cool. Hello, Facebook friends and community. We got Sarah and Adam here, co-owners of Chubb Retention, and we're doing our first of many Facebook Lives. So at Chubb Retention, we have thousands of clients across the United States and Canada. We've been doing this for over 15 years, and we have hundreds of top-producing clients that really crush it. And the great Jeff Chubb is definitely one of those people. I met Jeff a few years ago. I think it was at a viral marketing mastermind, if I remember correctly, in Chicago. Had a great time with you and your wife. We know you run a great business, great team. You have been for a long time. And, just to give everybody some background on Jeff, last year in 2018, his team closed 120 transactions for about 60 million GCI. For those of you who don't understand even what that means, GCI means gross commission income. And so that is a heck of a year. So Jeff, we're excited to have you on our Facebook Live here. Our goal really is to add value by just interviewing top people and giving best practices, like I said earlier. So Jeff, thanks for being on with us. And we'd love to have you start off by just telling us a little bit about your story, man. How'd you get into real estate? When'd you get in? Why'd you get in? What does that look like? Tell us a little bit about your story, man, if you don't mind.
So first up, I didn't realize I was the first, so hopefully the first won't be the worst. But also just a couple of questions. We're on track for 120 units. That's 60 million in volume, not GCI. Which
60 million GCI sounded wrong to me. I'm like, I need to get on Jeff's team. That's a lot of GCI. So, okay, we can't hear Jeff right now. So.
Caribbean Beach.
Okay, cool. So 60 million in volume, 120 transactions, so high price point out there. Sarah, can you hear me okay, Sarah?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Jeff, if you want to, I think we couldn't hear you there for a minute. So again, we're just kind of starting with your story of how you got into real estate, when, and tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I'm a real estate baby. My mom, she got her license back in '89. So I grew up in a real estate household. My father, he actually passed away in 2002, and it was a husband and wife team. My dad did all the behind the scenes, marketing, kind of all that the accounting, all that stuff. So I actually stayed home for a semester through college and learned and managed the business, marketing, all the stuff that he did. And then actually did that while I was in college and helped my mom with, the farming, the internet advertising, all that good stuff, which was pretty cool because in 2002, that was a huge transition. That's 2002 through 2005. I took a little break from real estate. I traded subprime mortgages back in 2005, 2006 until 2008. And then I got laid off because I traded subprime mortgages and moved up to Boston for a girl. Ended up marrying a different one, and figured I'd go into real estate because I didn't want anybody to tell me when I could go to work and learn how much money I was allowed to make. So, been doing it since 2008, 2009, I guess.
Awesome, man. And what would you start in that journey? In that journey, we know you're just getting out of a $1.3 million listing. So for those of you that are watching Jeff drive, that's what he's driving away from. What would you say the turning point was to your success, right? I mean, to do 120 units this year and do 60 million in volume, I mean, that puts you in the top, 0.01% of people that have their real estate license. So, you've been doing this for this year, your 11th year full-time being in real estate. What year was the turning point? What would you say happened mindset-wise, philosophy-wise? How did that look?
That's a loaded question. I might take the rest of the day. I think I'm in version of like 7.0 of the team right now. So ultimately, I've made more mistakes than probably success. Frankly,
I think we're having a little more technical difficulty. Jeff, can you hear me okay, buddy?
I can hear you great.
We're getting out. I think you're out of the woods now. Go ahead. So we missed all that.
I'm literally in the woods. So in 2011, I actually started TV or radio advertising. And I'd probably say that that's really when the business kind of got its legs underneath it. But not all good things last. The market in Boston was a very, very strong seller's market, to the point where some places we had less than 1 month of inventory. And 2015, radio just really stopped working. And so with that, I kept chasing listings and tried to go on TV and ended up losing a ton of money. And probably 2016 was sometime when I realized I needed to really focus on building out a strong buyers division, buyers team. And ultimately, it's been probably 3 or 4 versions of the team since then. And I think I have one that is showing a lot of promise right now. So.
Yeah, you mentioned you've got you transitioned to a new stellar team leader, and that you had some kind of fresh thoughts coming out of that process. I'm curious about that.
So I was always afraid to bring on a listing partner. I had a buyer team, and then I was always all listings. And finally, I stepped out of that kind of fear zone, and I hired Matt. He's the one driving us right now. I was looking for quite a while, and Matt his resume came along, and he didn't have a license. He went out and got a license, but he was young, he was hungry. He actually played minor league baseball, which told me that he was a real competitor. Ultimately, that's somebody who I wanted to help build out. Quite frankly, because I look at the buyer side as a business and the listing side as 2 really separate businesses that tend to complement one another. So, Matt's been an amazing partner as we've tried to we put new systems in place. We've improved and done a lot with our pitch, and it's been interesting, to say the least. And one of the biggest things I can say is for that person like me who thinks, if you bring on a listing coordinator, it's going to end up eating into your business. That's not the case at all. Matt, if anything, Matt's actually increasing my own personal business. You can't think in the mind of restriction. You can't think in the mind of fear. You have to, more is always better.
And how would you say the 2 businesses complement each other in terms of, you were saying that Matt working with buyers is helping your listings increase. Obviously, having listings, you're going to have more open houses and more buyers come in. But how would you say Matt's affecting you? And of the 120-ish deals you guys have closed this year, how many of those would be on the buy side?
On track. So we're about 60% buy side, 40% sell listing side. So Matt's just on the listing side. He just works with listings, just like myself. As of right now, my team leader's been really doing an amazing job. We have 19 agents, including the ones onboarding and coming on board and getting their license. So
wow.
We're growing really rapidly. Our goal is to be at 60 agents by the end of the year.
60.
And Ryan is just doing a fabulous job in regards to going out recruiting and doing the efforts in order to find good quality people that are going to help us build a strong business. So while we're on track for 120 units, I'd like to think we're going to do a lot more than 120 units. It's just where our current team and our current tracking is kind of taking us. So it's they're 2 businesses. They complement one another because buying buyer leads, which are pretty easy to do. A lot of those people have houses to sell, so it's really cross training. It's really working good with those. The more houses you sell, the more credibility it gives you when you go into a neighborhood in order to get that listing. And that's really what we're seeing. And it's not chicken and the egg scenario, especially when you go into new markets. But we've been plugging along.
Good. So that's awesome, man. Congrats. And 60 agents, that's crazy. So good job on the recruiting and whatnot. Let me ask you this, man. What would you say really sets you guys apart? So in terms of, yes, I understand doing a lot of volume. Obviously, you guys have the social proof and the credibility of selling a lot of houses, and that's huge for getting the listing. But if you have maybe a $1.3 million listing, maybe they're kind of savvy and sophisticated, and it's like, why am I going to use Jeff Chubb, right? We got Redfin over here or Zillow. I can list my house for 1%, or Do I need the realtor? We can use this stage or this photographer. Like, what's really the heart of any business is the value proposition. What is the value proposition to maybe more of a savvy, sophisticated investor when you sit down with them to list their house, or even your buyers to help them buy? Like, what is your guys' kind of pitch in terms of, hey, when you work with our team, you get X, Y, Z. What does that look like?
So it's funny you say that, because this listener we're watching this probably is like the most sophisticated guy I've ever met. His job title is peacekeeper. He was talking and telling us stories and how he's met, how he's been, he was invited for dinner by Putin, right, when he was inaugurated. Yeah.
Did you say his job title was peacekeeper?
Yes, peacekeeper.
I thought you said beekeeper, so I was way up.
Peacekeeper. He literally he works for the government, goes around like, Vladimir Putin, Saudi Arabia, like he's the guy that they bring in to try to keep peace in the world, if you will. Fascinating human being. Like it was a 2-hour, I was late for this call because it was a 2-hour listening appointment, probably because I was talking and learning from this guy so much. So, I mean, it is a very sophisticated seller that $1.3 million. So how do we get a guy like that? Well,
yeah.
He was actually communicating and talking with our artificial intelligence, saying that he really was thinking about going with a local broker. And so that was one piece of it where we got to jump on and say, hey, you're actually talking with artificial intelligence. So a big part of our pitch is, hey, we're technology. The way I look at it is that we're a marketing company that happens to sell real estate and utilizes technology in order to maximize our return and our market response. The other big part is statistics. I've always felt comfortable. I think it's my investment banking background. I've always felt comfortable using statistics no matter what market I go in. So he mentioned he wanted to go with a local, he's really leaning towards the local realtor. Well, I went in there and we did the statistics, and I showed him how 73.56% of all sales, all selling sales are by out-of-town brokers. Hey, that sucks, right? I showed him 24 months worth of market data. I showed him what's going on with inventory levels.
Oh.
We're cutting out. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. We lost you at the 73.56% of out-of-town broker deals.
I was just saying, so we showed them that 73.56% of out-of-town sales happen by agents just like us that are out of town. So we used those stats in order to work in our best interest. We showed them the stats of what's going on in the marketplace. Like, hey, I know Sudbury because, hey, look, here's 24 months worth of market data and stats. Talking about the increase in inventory levels statewide. So I've always used stats as statistics and just that market knowledge, because most people don't know it, which is a shame because everybody has the same information I have. Right. And that's the way I've always differentiated myself. And I think it makes a huge difference for your really, really educated home buyer or home seller. But at the end of the day, it's still a relationship business. I think ultimately if we get that, it's because he liked Matt and I first, and we really liked him. He was a great guy, but we weren't schmucks in there. We walked in, we knew what we were doing, we knew what we were talking about as well. Right. So I think it's a complement of a lot of things, quite frankly.
So it's that balance of, you have to have the likability factor, right? This is still the sales game at the end of the day. They have to like and trust you, but then also being positioned as the expert, right? And being positioned as the expert, how important would you say it is in terms of preparation, right? So how do you prepare? The market, would you say that you, compared to other agents that are going to go on that same listing appointment, do you feel like you're more prepared, and what does your level of preparation look like? Or is it just like, hey, this is what I do, it's my obsession, so I'm always prepared? What is that like for you?
So we prepare a lot. We have all those market statistics. There, sometimes we're prepared more, or it takes us longer to prepare than other times because, one market we might sell 15 units a year in, right? Versus, this market where we might sell 1 or 2 units. So, we're prepared in knowing the stats back and forth left and right, if you will. Obviously, we come with market comps. I mean, the way that I look at it is this $1.3 million listing, right? Well,
talk about somebody who's looking to really grow their business. Maybe they're not doing 100 units. Maybe they did 10 deals last year and they're trying to go to 20, or somebody trying to go from 20 to 30. Like somebody who's trying to really take their business to the next level, because obviously you didn't start off doing 100 deals or 200 deals or whatever you guys end up at this year, a year. What would you say your biggest piece of advice is for that agent that's really trying to increase 50 or 100%? They want to do it. What does that agent need to do?
It's funny. I just did a video yesterday in regards to like recruiting video, if you will, just providing educational tips. And that one was, hey, you want to make $100,000 this year? Well, do this, right? So this is pretty easy. First thing is you got to do 3 to 4 hours of calling a day. 3 to 4 hours of calling, true prospecting, not just sitting in front of your computer, twiddling your thumbs, Facebook off, if you will, where you are actually dialing. So 3 to 4 hours will result in about 90 to 120 phone calls per day. And 90 to 120 phone calls will result in about 10 conversations, which means you're having about 50 conversations in a week. For every one transaction, it should be around 50 transactions. So essentially, 50 conversations once per week. You should be doing somewhere in the ballpark of 40 to 50 transactions per year if you are doing 3 to 4 hours of calling per week. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? That's what you need to do. You need to be prospecting. This is a full contact sport. You need to be contacting people. On top of it, handwritten notes. I think everybody should do 5 handwritten notes a day. The art of the handwritten note is nobody does it anymore. Everybody does emails, texts. Be different. Differentiate yourself. Different is the stem part of that word, right? Well, how can you do that? That's handwritten notes. There's truly high impact in handwritten notes. And those can be to your past clients, your sphere of influence, to prospective buyers and sellers. Another thing that people can do is pop buys. I've actually started doing some pop buys where I recently was dropping off a potted plant. There's nothing more impactful than a pop buy. It takes a lot of time, but if you have it, it just took me one afternoon. Kids were in the car asleep. They needed a nap, so I drove them around, right? Open houses is a way you can definitely increase your credibility, but also don't be a secret agent. I think I made a mistake years ago where I felt like I was a secret agent, or I don't know, and let people know what you're doing. I mean, call your sphere of influence once every single quarter, and let friends and families know about your success. And if you don't feel like you can brag about it or it's tacky, well, have your broker or your team leader actually do that for you. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I'm doing for my agents, for my team right now, is I'm bragging for them, posting things on Facebook saying, hey, Matt just sold this house. Well, what does that do? Without him having to say a word, everybody knows that he sold that house. And so when they go and they're ready they're going to see it, but it wasn't Matt boasting about how great he is. I get to do it, right? So, those are some of the things that I think that you can easily start doing. Yeah. Look, this is a really easy business, this is a really simple business. It's just not easy, right? Yeah. And those are just simple things. They're not easy to do. They are simple things that you can do. And ultimately, you don't make $100,000 if you do that. You're making hundreds of thousands of dollars if you do just what I said.
Right. And so in everything you said there, from the handwritten notes to the 3 to 4 hours of calls a day, which we know most agents are lucky to do 3 to 4 hours in a week, to doing some open houses and doing some Popeyes, to me, what I hear you saying is like, if you just do your job, you make a lot of money. So the biggest question that I have then after that is, why do you think it is, being that you've recruited a lot of agents, you've got a coach, like you coach a lot of agents, what keeps people from doing their job?
I don't think it would be a shame if every single real estate agent was required to be in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning and be there until 6 o'clock or 9 to 5. You should do what every other company out there does, 9 to 5. Every single agent required to be in the office from 9 to 5 every single day. You would see productivity skyrocket. Yeah. People come into this business. I remember I had 4 people sitting in a row. It was a group interview.
Whoop. Oh. But I like where Jeff's going. I'll wait until Jeff's sound starts working again. With the 9 to our friend Rick Ruby, Sarah with the core calls it the 1099 disease, where when you're 1099 and nobody can tell you what to do, it's kind of a disease and a bad thing, because if you were actually getting health benefits and getting a salary, and it's like, hours of calls a day, it would be magically the industry would change overnight, right? Not that the realtors are going to become W-2s, but anyways, Jeff. So we left off with your 9 to 5 thing, and I was calling it, as to coin a phrase Rick Rudy uses, the 1099 disease. So
I'm going to steal that phrase. I love that phrase. I mean, and it's true because four people in a row, 3 people gave a great answer in the group interview, and the 4th one said she wants to go to real estate because she wants to work. Oh, okay. Have a nice day.
She made that easy, right?
Yeah, that was a really easy decision. You did not get about that. It's a simple business. It's just not easy. You got to put a lot of work into it, and ultimately, if you think, I remember there was one guy who was an agent. I was like, well, he's like, I work all the time. I'm like, well, you don't have any deals under agreement. You're not making any calls. What are you doing for work? Because the first 3, from the morning I wake up, I'm in front of the computer, and I'm reading emails and clearing out emails. Like, you don't have any deals under agreement. What emails are you reading? Because I have a lot of spam. I go, well, bring your computer in tomorrow morning. Don't touch it. I will take care of all the spam. We will subscribe to every single thing, right? People just think working is just sitting around like answering an email. It's not a day of work. A real day of work is, like you said, 3 or 4 hours of prospecting. I mean, 9 to 5. If you treat it like a business, if you treat it like a job, it will be a very sustainable career that you will net more money than most likely you could conceive or think that you deserve.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's hard. It's very hard.
And I think the reason it's hard, I'll throw my 2 cents in here, is it's hard sometimes because of that freedom, and it's also hard. The reason why sales has the biggest upside in general is that people are afraid of rejection. They'd rather do almost anything else than get rejected. And so I guess that would lead me to a good question for you. And I know my personal answer is that you just get used to it. You become numb to it. Just because getting no, like I always tell our salespeople, like, hey, you're not in the field of selling. You're in the field of rejection. Because 90% of the time you're getting rejected. Just like surfing. I'm a surfer. It's like really the sport should be called paddling, because 90 to 95% of the time I'm not riding a wave. I'm paddling around, right? And so the field of selling, if it were called the field of rejection, I feel like people could accept that that's the reality. But that's my personal opinion on why people aren't able to do their job in sales. What do you think about that in terms of, they would rather go delete some emails, right? Because that feels good, than get on the phone and get 200 no's to get 10 good conversations.
Yeah, everybody's scared of the no. I mean, and that's 100% point. I read a book. What book did I read? I read a book. He's going to think of the title in a couple seconds. And it was talking about your self-image and everything, and like people just get boggled down in this big thing of stop, go through a positive, outcome in regards in your head. Kind of play the video, the movie of a perfect call where somebody gives you the order at the end and puts you in that state before you start calling, because that's right. I mean, people are just scared of the no, or they don't want to get the no. Nobody wants to be rejected, and we try to spin it off as, okay, well, 40 rejections, that's where I get my commission check, right? But it can be a little defeating. But the biggest part is that, you are a little bit closer to the yes, but one of the mindset changes for me recently has been every single time I lose a listing, every single time I had somebody cancel a listing with me last week because I was getting them too many showings on their house, right? Like, I was doing my job. She was getting too many calls from our showing facilitator, showing time, and she didn't like it. Just literally too many showing calls requests to your house. But, I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, what can I do better? How can I improve that situation for next time? And I actually figured out something that I can do better next time in order to do that. And I think that's the big thing. I mean, yeah, I could consider myself rejected on that one, and I was a $500,000 listing, but at the end of the day, I know I did my job. And number 2 is I learned something from it, where that mistake might happen again if I meet another idiot, but most likely it won't happen again, and I'm going to improve upon it by doing X, Y, and Z. So yeah, you have to be critical of yourself. You have to constantly look and try to do better, I think, and constantly try to improve. And the only way that happens is through rejection. So it's part of the game.
Yeah, you either win.
Zero Resistance Selling was the name of the book. Very good book.
Awesome, guys. So, hey, if you're listening in here, Zero Resistance Selling, I like it. I'll check that out. Yeah, you either win or you learn, right? You either win the listing and you get the commission, or you learn. Like, there's no failure. Failure is only a label if you decide to label that experience as failure. Otherwise, it's just learning, right? Just like our attempt here at our first Zoom/Facebook hangout. It's like, oh, maybe it didn't go too good the first 10 minutes, but we didn't know what we were doing. And it's like, well, was it a failure or were we just learning? So I'm going to choose to label it as a learning experience instead of I failed. Because if you get caught up in that whole, oh, we failed, we blew it, whatever, well, now you're not looking at it as what it should be, which is a valuable learning experience that you're going to grow from and get better from. And it sounds so like woo-woo and Tony Robbins and happy, but it's like you need to have that if you're going to be in the field of rejection, which is the field that we're all in as salespeople. And kind of to wrap this up, Jeff, I wanted to ask one last question here. And thanks so much for your time, man. I know you're getting driven around like a boss by your listing partner. I like it.
I'm going to get used to this.
Yeah, having you around when I come to Florida, it's going to be great. And so client experience and client appreciation. We all know that at the end of the day, doesn't matter if you have 2 agents on your team, 0 agents, or 60 agents, the boss is the client, right? That's how the team members get paid. That's how the bosses get paid. The client is who we work for, whether you're Amazon or a realtor is going to sell 10 houses this year. So tell us about how you create an amazing client experience and what you guys do for that, and really how you appreciate clients so that you can get the repeat and referral business, which is really why you want to get into real estate. So tell us a little bit about client experience and appreciation and how you get those raving fans.
So first, I mean, you mentioned the red pins and the price cutters and all that stuff earlier, and I'll throw another competitor in there, which people really aren't talking about. That's the institutional buyer, that quote-unquote high buyer. How do you bulletproof your business? How do you create a business that's sustainable? Ultimately, your past clients and nurturing those people, that's ultimately how you do it. You know, again, like I said, it's a full contact sport. They have to stay in front of them, and if you treat them like a number, they're never going to come back to you. But if you treat them like a friend and that person that they are, then they're going to most likely refer you because, you know, just like you would refer them, right, or help them. They want people like you. They want to help you. But if you don't stay in contact with them or you don't give them any reason to remember you, they won't remember to refer you because they won't remember who you are, which is why by the way, I know you haven't asked that question directly, but I do use the Cutco knives. The reason why I do it is because people remember that knife. People aren't throwing away that knife. They're not drinking that bottle of wine and throwing it away, right? You know, without me even contacting them every single time, and I use those knives pretty much every single night or all the time I'm cooking, people are thinking about it. It's natural, right? So, you know, that's the part. I mean, I think, and I don't do it nearly good enough and grown up, and it's something that I'm trying to improve upon, where it's a true white glove, you know, kind of service where you're doing a little extra, bringing boxes, they do move, you're sending them a gift, and they do send them a state. Like those small little touches, you add them up, and they make a huge difference. And we're starting to work more of that in, and it's going to become more and more important. Market starts to slow down here because, you know, it's referral business that gets you through the dark months. So,
yeah. Well, awesome, Jeff. Well, hey, with that, man, I do want to acknowledge you for being on this, you know, our first of many here. Just thank you for being on with us. And what I really like the most about you, Jeff, in business, I mean, you're a great systems guy, you're a great salesperson, but I still remember being on that cruise with you in Chicago and having lunch with you and your wife. And you're just a good dude, man. You guys are good people. And I think that's a huge part of business that people are forgetting is just be a human being. Like, create a real relationship. Like, if you're funny, be funny. If you want to have, like, and connecting with you guys there was a great time for me. And I still remember it because, you know, again, you can have the best systems, the best marketing, the best everything. But if that client doesn't feel like they have a connection to that other human being and like you're really there genuinely to help them out and have a good time and, you know, do a great job for them and as a human being and as a friend, then you're not going to get that listing. You're not going to get sales. And that's what I appreciate and like most about you and your lovely wife who was at that event, man. So I do want to acknowledge you for that. And thanks so much.
He is lovely. I agree. Hopefully I get a little brownie point. So real quick, shameless plug. For the people that are watching or people in your network, we do have an additional mastermind group. There's about 1,100 of us on there. It's called the Another Level Real Estate Mastermind Group. Small enough intimate group, if you will, that we're constantly sharing people's business. So if somebody's interested in joining a really great networking group, then we'd love to have you. Just go ahead and request the join, and I'll approve you. So I really appreciate you guys having us on.
Yeah, we'll share that as well, because it is all about the value. So thank you for bringing that point home there.
Yeah, you bet. All right. Well, with that, guys, we're good. Thanks so much, Jeff and Sarah. We'll go ahead and end it with that.
All right. Ciao.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sarah. Talk later.
Bye.